head in there.
You can do it. One more time, man. We just need you to perform one more time. Well, I'm Captain Jason Prieto, Captain Danny Guarino, Captain Rick Lyle, and a couple other names we won't call them. I guess we're going to do, we also, as he said, we do radio on Sunday morning, 7 to 9, Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show. We invite each and every one of you guys to call in every Sunday, listen, give us fishing reports, just talk fishing with us, talk whatever. We're pretty laid back. If anybody listens to our show pretty much knows that. We really don't have, we got a format that we follow, we make ourselves follow, but it's pretty open. So
I don't know that we've ever actually followed it.
no, I had to actually pre-record commercials, so we did. But with that being said, I guess we're going to talk about the fishing side.
Before we do that, Donald also won last week on the show, so I wanted to, he's one of the.
Yeah, you did. Persistence pays.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to call anymore if he calls ahead of me.
That's a good move, Mike.
We're gonna pull his name out.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that he uses different names and calls about 5 times because he's got all this stuff. But anyhow, we're going to do a little.
Every week.
I guess we're doing a seminar on mackerel. Mackerel is about as easy as it gets, so to speak.
Except this year.
Except for this year. I really don't know what's going on this year, but well, mackerel's just been tough. Maybe you guys know something I don't know, but
How many people here mackerel fish?
usually on that.
Okay.
Well, it's a great fish. These guys love it. I'm not going to say I like it because I don't, as far as eating. But they love mackerel. Danny didn't get that big by eating nothing, so he liked it. But mackerel's a great fish. It's a good starter fish. They're easy to catch. They fight good. They're a decent table fare, and there's plenty of it in the bay. So I think this tournament here. I know you guys are doing a tournament. What's the date of the tournament, Steve?
May the
19th. Not that he hasn't said that 15 times on the radio show, but it's a good tournament for you guys if you want to get your kids out. You do the snook and the reds. Sometimes it can be a chore to get them to bite. It's a little more of a educated fish, so to speak. I think the mackerel's a good tournament because you can get kids out there that actually get out there. Pretty easy to catch some mackerel. It's a good beginner fish. If you're getting into fishing, it's probably one of the better fish to get out there and get your feet wet with doing it.
Something else about mackerel, before we get into the techniques and that kind of thing. One, they are good to eat, but cleaning a mackerel, it's the quality of your meal is going to depend a lot on how you clean them. If you clean them and get the bloodline out, they're very good fish to eat. If you don't, they're going to have a little fishy taste. They're not oily, like everybody seems to, for whatever reason, think. They're not a real oily fish, but if you clean them right, and I wish I had saved one for today, I could have brought it here and showed you guys how to clean them because it's really, no, it really is. If you clean them right, it's easier when you clean them right, and they just taste so much better. But
Go ahead.
the one thing about mackerel fishing, I'm going to assume that everybody here, I would say a majority, fishes on weekends. Okay, when's everybody fishing on weekends? I don't know. Last Saturday on the South Shore, was anybody out there?
Yeah,
How many boats was out on the South Shore Saturday?
too many of them.
There must have been 70 boats on the South Shore. The nice thing about mackerel fishing is if you have to fish on weekends and you get out there and you go to your first spot and someone's there, the second spot someone's there, you can always mackerel fish, and find a spot where you're not going to be crowded. Just because.
There's not, and if you pull up next to somebody, it's not like pulling up on a snook spot, so to speak. I mean, they're not like, going to spook off or, you'll see some common areas where there's some boats lined up.
Now, if I'm mackerel fishing, come sit next to me because we'll just take turns chumming.
Yeah.
I'll feed off your chum and you can feed off mine. That's kind of a good thing. But
when you're looking for spots for mackerel, I'm going to cover a little bit. Danny, chime in because I know this is your favorite fish. Danny's going to demonstrate. I wish we had a live fish here. He's got what we call it the mackerel grab. And it kind of like, the fish is flopping like this, and he kind of just locks it on his stomach, and the fish flops like this. And by the end of the day, he's got mackerel slime from here to about here with about 15 in the pool. We call it the mackerel grab. I don't know guys listen to the show. It's pretty funny. At least we think it's funny. If you see,
There's a lot of things that we think.
it'd be a lot better.
Nobody gets.
That's why I spelled it
Man, we
underneath
laugh.
the bus.
You know it's funny when you hear the other boats laughing at you.
Yeah, we're next filming our customers. I was like, watch this. You gotta watch. Like, stop fishing. You gotta watch this.
It's literally been like, okay, he's got one on watch.
Yeah,
Watch.
So but on a serious note, good place to start for mackerel. It's easy. You want moving water. Income and outgoing really don't matter. Moving water. Hard bottom. You find some hard bottom. You don't have to have big rocks. A lot of your artificial reefs out here hold fish. I typically like to stay away from the artificial reefs because there's 100 boats out there. A lot of the outer flats, 4 to 10 foot, all the way down the south shore. There's a lot of hard bottom out there. On the outer flats, on the hard bottom, structure, any kind of structure, on the edges of the ship channel, around a lot of the towers, around Port Manatee's, them towers out there got some good mackerel on them. I mean, that's just, and you just want moving water. It really doesn't matter. You know, a good time to fish mackerel, you got quarter moon, you guys understand the tides, quarter moons are slower tides. If you got a quarter moon day and you're gonna go fishing, typically is not gonna be the best time to go snook fishing. You know, quarter moon, you got just a slow tide. At times it might be barely moving. A lot of times on the flats, like last week we had a quarter moon. Tide sucked, it's horrible. And if you went in the flats, the water was almost non-existent moving. But if you get out in the middle of the bay, you have a little bit of movement, and usually will spark a mackerel bite. So it's you know, if you want to go mackerel fishing, I'd save the snook days for the better tides. So your quarter moons are pretty good. As far as rigging, same rod I use for snook and reds. I use a smaller reel. Danny, I think, used a little bigger. I think that conned you into using these smaller ones now.
I use the bigger ones for mackerel, a little bit bigger.
I typically use the same rod. This is 2500 Daiwa reel. It's pretty small. 10-pound braid, just an 8-foot, exact same thing. The only thing that difference I'll do, and it's a little trick I just learned from trial and error over the years. This is 25-pound leader, and I didn't tie it on this one because I was lazy. And please don't come look at this knot because I was trying to figure out what I did over there. It's not breaking, but it's not a good knot, I can tell you that. Just tie a simple double uni knot, which is not a good example again. This is 25-pound leader. The trick with mackerel is they got teeth, so that's a XXX Eagle Claw long shank hook. You can buy these by the 100. Danny, how much are they? $12 or something like that. Mustad makes the longer the hook, almost the better. And I'll tell you a little trick that I've done, I've experimented. What'll happen when you get on a real good mackerel bite is you'll get a fish that hits this. Well, mackerel run in schools by the hundreds typically. You'll have another one, while he's shaking this makes a little air bubble in the water, and a lot of times they'll hit it up here and they'll take the whole hook. What I have done, and it's made a big difference, I didn't do it here because we haven't been catching a whole lot of mackerel, I haven't done a lot of mackerel fishing, is I'll take a piece of 50 or 60 fluorocarbon, short piece, and just section it in. So now what happens is this 25, they can just bump it and it'll break. That 50 or 60, they can bump it, and a lot of times you'll see it all mangled up, but you still get the fish in versus losing the hook. I haven't had a situation where I had to downsize to this to catch fish. I haven't personally. I don't know if you guys have. Danny says he has. I really haven't. Danny probably does a little more mackerel fishing than I do at times. But that's a little trick that'll, especially if you're catching the big ones. You guys are going after this. Is it the biggest, most on the mackerel? Longest mackerel. Okay, that's my thought.
Longest 3.
On your bigger mackerel, obviously they have a bigger mouth. They're going to hit that bait, and they're going to try to get the bait hole. Where smaller mackerel's going to grab it here. I don't use steel leader for mackerel. The only time I use steel leader for mackerel is if I'm offshore kingfishing. And sometimes you'll get them out there if you're kingfishing, and there's a lot of mackerel. The mackerel hit the steel. I'm not saying you're not going to catch them on steel leader, but in the bay I typically don't use steel leader. But if you tie that section of 60, I don't think you're going to see a decrease in a bite. And if you're worried about it, rig a rod with like a 25 or 30 and then have a little section of 60. But it's going to increase your chances of hooking that big mackerel and catching them versus losing them. So that's a little tip that I've learned over the years. It seemed to work for me. mackerel fishing is pretty simple. I mean, it's a simple rig. The nice thing about what I got here is when I go inshore, I just take it, and this is just a cinch knot. You can tie a single uni knot. I just tie a cinch knot. It takes 2 seconds. I'll just clip this, tie my circle hook on, my loop knot, I'm good to go. So it's simple, it's easy. You can go right back to snooker, reds, or trout. One problem that I do see, and I haven't figured out why, some of the areas that we catch mackerel at certain times of the year, there tend to be nice trout there, sea trout. Well, for whatever reason, a sea trout loves to swallow this hook. I don't know what it is about a 3-inch long hook. So, and sometimes you can't help it. But if you're catching trout and you can go back to the circle, I would recommend it because a lot of times these fish will get gut hooked on that hook. I don't understand. I have still never understood that.
They're real small, that's for sure. So what Jason was talking about, let's go back and talk a little bit about where you fish the mackerel. Jason told you, and look for mark bottom, look for structure, things like that. You know, y'all are gonna fish the South Shore, these towers out here, they're full of mackerel. They're actually full of mackerel, and they're also full of silver trout on the bottom. You just go out the mouth of the river, make a left, go south, get in about 8 to 10 foot of water. From here all the way down to Cockroach, to the first sandbar, just before you get to Cockroach entrance, that's White Light Bar. Anywhere in there, you can set up a chum line and catch mackerel. That's about as specific as you want it. I mean, you can go there, you just got to get out and start chumming and doing your thing. When Jason's talking about using the 25-pound, I start with the 40-pound. If I know there's mackerel there, they're not hitting my line, I start dropping down size and leaders and hooks. Sometimes the water's real clear, they get a little shy. They won't hit it. I've actually gone down to a 25-pound leader and a #1 circle hook. Now, I'd probably go through 40 circle hooks, but at least I was getting hit and we were catching it. I mean, it works. One thing I tell people on the boat when they're mackerel fishing, their instinct is to set the hook as soon as they get a bite. And with this J hook, it doesn't matter. You can set the hook. It's not a circle hook. The problem with mackerel is they hit the packs. So you've got 3 or 4 fish trying to hit that one bait. If you jerk it the first time you get a bite, you're going to pull that bait away from the other 2 that are going to probably get on your hook. So I tell everybody, don't try and set that hook. The mackerel's going to hit it hard enough. You'll know when they get on. You don't have to set it. You don't have to try and jam that hook into the mouth. The mouth's not that hard. It'll go in and it's set. So that's a couple of the things I tell people to do. We use scale sardines. That's typically what we're using for mackerel. We also use threadfin herring, the bigger threadfin herring or the smaller one, doesn't matter. They don't seem to stay alive as long as the greenbacks do or the scale sardines, but threadfins will work. You can go out and buy a bag of chum, frozen chum. I don't know, we got them at $7, $8 already. That works great. If you have a net full of bait, if you got a lot of thread fins, what we do is I take them and I start breaking them up. One at a time, just drop them in the water, I'm chumming the whole time. Just sitting there chumming, 1, 2, 3 at a time, and I'm just breaking them up. And sometimes I can't get them to hit live bait, I'll put a dead bait on it, a piece of a dead bait, a piece of a greenback, a piece of a thread fin, throw that out there. And sometimes I'll just start hitting dead bait. The shrimp will work. I've seen it where you can catch them on shrimp, you can't catch them on anything else. Day to day, I can't tell you what they're going to hit. Typically, I wouldn't use shrimp, but they will use shrimp.
One more thing I want to chime in when you're talking about the mackerel and how they hit it at 100 mile an hour. How many people use braid here? Braid line. Pretty much everybody. I don't think they make line.
How many people use braids?
Braid is great. No stretch though. Watch when I pull this. No stretch. So what does that tell you? The only give you have, and this is with any kind of fish, but especially a fast striking fish, that rod. So if you got the rod, hold that. Don't hold the hook. got the rod, let's just wrap it. You got the rod, see that? No give. So if you got your rod down like this and a mackerel hits it, what'll happen, I'll wrap the leader, but don't grab the hook. I want to show you.
This has got disaster written all over it.
We do have this filming, so let's do this right.
Yeah. There you go.
Here, I'll show you. The leader material stretches. So what actually happens, I don't want to hook these are short. What actually happens is you have no give, and if you don't use the give of the rod, and that fish hits at 100-mile-an-hour, this is tarpon, this is mackerel, anything that's a fast-hitting fish, a big snook. What happens is, even though that leader's 25 and this is 10, you will actually shock that leader. If you ever, I tell you how I get a hook out of you ever gut hook a redfish and you want to just pop the line? Even if it's 25-pound leader, take it, wrap it, and just snatch it real hard. It actually shocks that leader and it'll break it right at the hook versus having the line hang on its mouth. But that leader gives, so you actually shock the line. And so what you want to do, hold it tight again, not by the hook. When that fish hits, you want to have your rod tip, you got that bait flipping around? I can't do it here. You want to have it up, so pull it down. See the give? This is your leverage. I had a 7-year-old kid on the boat today, and I taught him how to fight a fish. And everybody just wants to, hold that again.
He's going to hook.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
don't do anything with hanging the line up. This gives you power, and that's with any fish. I see people fight fish every day, and they think the faster they reel this, they're doing something. And I'll say, after I get the fish, Rick, what are you doing?
It just bothers me when you do that.
You having nightmares, huh?
It's twisting that line.
After they lose the fish, I said, let me show you something. They're all excited, they're reeling and cranking. I'll grab the line and say, here, reel that as fast as you can. They go like this, and I say, you're not doing anything with wasting energy. Good, I mean, it's good for exercise, right? But you're not doing anything productive.
Twisting the line.
It's kind of like running on the treadmill. Besides burning sweat, you're not going anywhere. So, learn how to fight these fish. Mackerel, although they're pretty dumb, especially with them teeth, if you got that rod like this, they come through and they'll hit it so hard. Even though this isn't a circle hook, there's no need to set the hook. Just keep that rod tip up. The bait's gonna dance, wham, they're gonna hit it, and they'll hit 100-mile-an-hour. Rod bends, that's it. You don't need a big hook set. So,
If you keep it tight, if you keep the line tight, you're less likely to break off. Now, other things that mackerel do is, especially with this knot, this crazy knot. Well, this crazy knot that Jason has.
keep breaking.
But think about what we said, when that mackerel hits, it pulls the line tight. This knot will create a bubble. The other fish in the water will actually hit the knot. Right through your line.
Have you ever pulled up mackerel fish and they broke the whole leader?
Yeah.
That's what happens. That creates like a little air bubble, and they're stupid fish.
So don't get frustrated. Don't go mackerel fishing with one hook.
No, buy the 100-pack. Trust me.
What happens more than that, most of your bites, in fact, when you get cut off in mackerel fishing, that does happen, but that ain't what's most of the time that happens. Most of the time what happens is your bait runs up your line. You got a fish hooked up, and I know if y'all mackerel fish, it happened to me probably 6 times today.
Yeah.
We brought a mackerel in, and the bait was up the line.
Yeah.
The fish hit that bait, then you're broke. There's nothing you can do about it. What you can do about keeping the bait, or trying to keep the bait down closer to the fish, is try to make sure you keep your rod tip up. If you're fighting the fish with it down like that, that bait can run up the line as that fish is moving along. If your rod tip's up, it's just, physics is not coming up. That bait will not come up the line as readily as if you got your rod tip down. Yes, the knot does create, I've seen that. Sometimes you can see the knot going through the water, and they will hit that, but they would definitely hit that line. So most of your break-offs come from the fish hitting the bait that's ran up your line. And the bait don't run up the line, it just gets pulled up the line if you got a nose hook when it happens. And just some statistics, that leader line's got 23% stretch versus 1.5 to 2% on the braid.
Wow. That was impressive. I just say it stretches. He's going to pull out the percentage on it.
Well, and the reason I know that is because when I do like a snook seminar or something like that, and you start comparing lines, if you're gonna be dock fishing for snook, and you wanna compare braid versus monofilament, let's say I make a 40-foot cast, and my line's got 23% stretch on it. Well, now I'm fixing to give up almost 10 foot to that fish, if it's a big fish, and he, you know, I got potentially that much stretch in the line, and when you're around structured docks and whatever, that's, you know, you're automatically not in charge no more. If you got braid line on, you got, you know, 1.5 to 2% stretch on a 40-foot cast. What's that? 2 foot, 3 foot? You don't, he don't get the upper hand when he's quick.
Another thing too is you seen I just reeled up like the Madman, and you guys come here and look at this. That line's all twisted. Now, if I'd have done that with mono back in the day, I would have opened the bail and would have sprang off the reel. The other nice thing about braid, but it still does wind up. The reason why I didn't, I don't care, because there's been about 15 people that's done it already with a reel. So, but you can see, you can't see from out there, there's a twist all the way through this line, and that'll increase your, what they call wind knots.
There's another thing that I wanted to mention, that we've been fighting this, I've been fighting this all week, is that the wind, that we're fishing, the wind has been running against the tide. The tide's going one way, the wind's going the other way. You cast with the wind, and your bait's coming back, or if you're standing, you're sitting there, and the wind's blowing hard, and your bait, when that wind's blowing hard, you want to get the line, especially with braid, you want to get that line out of the water, out of the wind. So what I tell people is, instead of holding your rod up like this, get it down to where,
the side.
yeah, do it to the side, get the line out of the wind. Let the current do the work, let the current take the bait. Because if you keep it up, all it's going to do is it's going to put a big bow in it.
We're going to send these people home real confused. Keep it up, keep it down.
No, I'm talking, when I say keep the rod tip up, I'm talking about after you've hooked up. Now you got a fish on, now you want to get it up.
But just picture, if you've got your line over there, and you got a big wind blowing that way, it's gonna blow this part of your line that way and bring the hook, the bait right back to you. So if you keep your line down in the current, you can almost put your rod tip into the water. You just let that line go out with the current, and you'll get that bow out of your line. It'll keep your line tight, and you'll know when you have a fish. But a lot of times, if you got that big bow, you won't even know that you got a fish on, or that you even got a hit. And typically, they're gonna bite through your line if you got a bow in it, and you don't know.
Do you ever use artificials?
Yeah, you can't afford it. I used to use spoons for them, but I'll go through, I mean, I'd go through 20 hooks in a day. I'd hate to go through 20 spoons in a day.
A mackerel hitting.
I'll tell you an easy one, and believe it or not, I was taught this when I first moved down here. Go to McDonald's and get you a whole bunch of straws, okay? I'm not lying at all about this. Get a bunch of treble hooks, they're cheaper than be. Cut your straws probably about 2 inches long, and run that straw down the line into that treble hook, and just throw it out there like a spoon and crank. It works the exact same way.
And if you do use artificials, you can get away with a small steel leader. I mean, I usually, if I'm going to throw spoons for them, which I don't use a whole lot of artificials on charters, but occasionally I get some guys that just want to, they got to do everything on artificial. If we mackerel fish, I'll get like the 9-inch steel leaders and put a spoon on that, and they'll hit it because it's moving. You're not going to get as many hits, but they'll hit it easier than, I mean, if you try to use a live bait with a steel leader, our fish are smart, man. They've done played that game before. You're not going to get too many hits with a steel leader.
You can get away with like 25 steel leader, 25 pound, 25. But like he said, your hits. I had this one guy, we got broke off of. You'll have a day when you get on mackerel where you're like, and actually that's where I experimented with the 50-pound test. I had a day where like they were crashing the bait so hard they were just hitting the hook and breaking the line. I lost like 20 hooks in a day. I'm like, let's try something. So I tied some 60 on, and we started catching them. We're still getting broken off some because they were hitting the bait. So there was such a big school. I think they were just like fighting over it. And one would hit the bait, the other would hit the hook and the line. But the guy kept, he ties steel leader. So about after about 20 minutes, I said, here, I put a steel leader together and said, here. And then I tied the 50 on, we started catching. When I know he's got a steel leader, he's throwing the same spot, nothing. They would not hit it. And I did it to shut him up. I was like, you're not gonna catch him. Steel leader, kept on hit. And literally like one after another with a regular setup like that with the 50-pound test, but steel leader, they wouldn't hit it. Now, it's not gonna say that you're not gonna catch him, but you're gonna increase your hits. You're gonna lose more fish, or increase your hits. It's kind of like downsizing for snook. You go down to 20 or 25-pound leader, you're probably gonna hook more fish, but you're gonna lose more break-offs. I'd rather lose one than not even hook.
If you're going without clients, let's say you were gonna fish in the tournament, do you try to fish the columns, or do you want free line or
I
split
almost
shot?
always throw a free line. Your mackerel are gonna be almost surface hitters. You can use a split shot and drop it down. Another thing I was thinking while Danny was talking, on the edges of your ship channel, you got shoal markings all the way down. It's where they dredge and they push the sand. There's underwater hills, basically. All got mackerel on them. So, and it's all good bottom out there, shell, hard bottom, all them areas out there. Mackerel's not real technical. What I would tell you, the best information I got to have you on mackerel is have the right rig, find a good spot, and fill your live well slap full of greenbacks. And if you got thread fins, that's okay. They're dead, live, it don't matter. Just start chucking them. I mean, when I pull up to the spot for mackerel, I'll throw like 50 baits out at once. Just fill the bat, just unload, and you'll get them things just start going. If they're biting good, they'll start blowing up everywhere. Today we didn't get on mackerel, we caught bluefish, but I mean, we had a 7-year-old kid on the boat, and I'm reeling in, there's like 10 of them just like this. I was reeling like an artificial, and you just watch them blow up on the surface. But what it is you get a lot of that chum going, and you draw the fish to you versus chasing them all over. So.
I will tell you this, do keep a free line out and keep it back into the chum slick, because the first year we had the mackerel tournament, with the first bait that we threw out while we were setting everything else up, we caught a 37-inch cobia that came to the house. It was pretty
Yeah, let's explain this 35-inch
I
cobia
call
that he
it-
brought to the house, okay? Dad's sitting there, we get the fish to the side of the boat, and what does Dad want to do? Dad wants to call these guys and let them know, lets me fight this 35-inch cobia in the bottom of the boat
I remember
by
that
myself.
Call. I remember that call. Well,
I'm like, what are you doing? Hang up the phone.
we were kingfishing today, and just to kind of, sort of like what he's talking about, different species, but we were kingfishing today, and my group caught 2 keeper red grouper on the surface in 25 feet of water. Just,
To add to that, I got on that rod right there with that exact rig and 5 foot of water, a 30-inch gag group. Could not believe it. First time. Yes.
With that knot?
Oh,
that's a strong knot. This is
You can't break it. I don't know what it is, but we could call it the Jason quadruple.
Jason,
Look at this.
Tied that? Might not.
But
got fingernail
I couldn't
polish on
believe it. 30 inch.
holding together.
So, and that's for all the people that say we ain't got no grouper. And that was in 5 foot of water.
Yeah, we probably caught 20 grouper today, but they, most of them were like this. We caught a gag on the surface that would have been a keeper.
That's for all the people that say we don't have any gag grouper.
Now, for those of you that are new to fishing here, on the website, John, what are the knots under?
I'd have to think. Just do a search. Just look up the word knots. I think it's under other, if I'm not
Guarantee you
mistaken.
won't find that now.
There's a video of how to tie each of the, there's 7 or 8 knots
Yeah,
that we have
there's a
videos
bunch.
of that you can check on the.
Just the popular one.
In the forum section, I'm sorry.
You got a question, Jack?
Jason, you mentioned the term mono. Does that include mono and fluorocarbons, or just mono?
As far as leader,
Yes.
I use nothing but fluorocarbon. It costs double, but you know what? Anything in this day and age with the fishing pressure that these fish see, all types of fish, anything that gives me an edge, I pretty much buy it. Again, it's expensive, but I tell you what I do use, and obviously there's title sponsor, but I can guarantee you get on my boat and you'll see spools of it, is O'Hero fluorocarbon. It's about half the cost, and it's good stuff.
And fluorocarbon is more abrasion resistant than monofilament.
It's a little more springy too. It's got a different feel to it. I don't. The
Got
only
some
mono I have
statistics
is
we don't
for.
throw
I got
you seen any difference between a fluorocarbon that you'd spool your whole reel with and the fluorocarbon leader material?
I never spooled real fluorocarbon.
His Bass Pro's got a 25-pound fluorocarbon. It's
P-line?
like 200 yards for like $12.
P-line?
Pardon?
P-line?
I'm not sure exactly what
Yeah,
it is.
you know,
I haven't
I
bought
use
any
that.
in a
That's
while.
actually a coated fluorocarbon.
There's so many different mixes of line anymore. I can't keep up with it. I buy the leader material. I couldn't tell you the difference on it. They just come out with a, God, Berkeley was, Mike was using it. And funny thing, because when I did a show with them last year, where he goes, yeah, they just come out with this stuff. It's like a braided mono mixed together. And he threw, he's like, yeah, this stuff sucks. But they would kick the camera and say, oh, it's pretty good stuff. But I don't even, it was like a mono and braid mixed together. It was weird. I didn't like it. It was kind of silky. There are some braids that I don't like. This is Finn's. This is the wind tamer that I have on these. Works good. O'Hara's got a pretty good braid. Finn's does make a line called Smooth Cast. And I got a 2,000-yard spool of it, and I emailed someone, I can't, it's just, it's supposed to cast better. It's like a silky, I don't know what they got mixed in it. I'm not high tech on this stuff, but I don't like it. So, I'm pretty basic on what I throw. When I find something I like, I rarely experiment too much.
That's important. You have to be comfortable with what you're using. If you're not comfortable with it, it's not gonna work. That is so important. Once if you're comfortable with monofilament, by all means, use it. If you're comfortable with a particular leader or a particular lure, by all means, that's the lure you need to use. If you're comfortable, if it's catching fish for you, go with it.
At the same token, don't be afraid to try something different, because I learn every day.
He keeps telling me to try things different.
the head case.
He's old and hard-headed.
I saw him get a lesson.
Me?
I saw him get a lesson.
When?
They were really.
Yes, I did. We did a lead lit. We went out.
Double range.
We went out by Double Branch, and I'm a soft plastic guy. I throw a lot of some Fathom jig stuff, Z-Man. I throw a lot of soft plastics, paddle tails, jerk baits. Mirror lure stuff works great. I just don't use it a lot. And Lee caught about 50 fish with my 20, and I finally said, "Give me that." And I swapped that. I was whacking fish one after another with it. So, and he was there, and I was trying everything in my bag I had. I got a bunch of different colors, he's just whacking trout after trout after trout. And I was catching some, but he would lose one on the same retreat and then hook another one and catch it. I'm like, and I'd throw 10 casts to get one. So, always be open-minded on the water with anything, including mackerel. Danny brings a good point. I've had mackerel do get picky, and they rarely get picky, but this year it had been a good mackerel year. The trout fishing has not been as good as it was the last 2 years from March on, as far as big trout. I think we'll all test to this.
No.
Big trout?
Who did McDo?
Because last year in March, we were getting 26, 25-inch trout like every day. This year I have not seen that. I know I have personally caught more trout that size in January. So, I think the weather patterns have changed. We had a cold weather.
They got smaller, we're catching smaller now, but our weather's been a month ahead.
Yeah, so in January I was catching in the same area what I caught March last year. I think that goes to the mackerel. We seen the mackerel come in last year early. Oh, it was. You catching 28, 29-inch mackerel one after another. Huge.
I have a theory why the mackerel were here
You
early
ate 'em
last
all.
year. No, well, last year, you gotta remember that.
This is not about the crop circles, is it?
No.
Okay.
Last year we had
Cut
cold
the cows
weather.
move.
There wasn't a lot of bait offshore. Once those fish came from the south and came up offshore in Tampa Bay, there was nothing out there for them to eat. They started coming up into the bay. I was catching mackerel on pinfish, which you never catch a mackerel on pinfish. I was catching mackerel in the bay on pinfish. This year,
Mackerel is way
a
too
lot of
much.
mackerel have been offshore, and there was plenty of bait this year. That bait stayed offshore. So that's my theory. Just mentioning
He's sticking to it.
I'm gonna stick.
One thing though, and seriously on this tournament, and I seen Danny doing it, he spoke about it, cut bait, cut thread fins. If they're not biting live bait, just free spool,
spool, a lot of time what you wanna do, current's running.
Don't flip the thing and spin the reel
Yeah,
backwards.
you don't want, open your spool and let that bait drift, and let it, cause it'll drift down. If the current's running, and you close your spool, it's gonna tighten the line, it's gonna bring that piece of cut bait right up to the surface, and it's just gonna pop around it on top. You might get a hit. I like to open the spool.
It's a good way to catch birds though.
Yeah, they fight good too.
What's the bird
When
tournament?
you're reeling something
I'll win
in
that
that's
bird
30 feet off the water instead of 30 feet down, it's a whole different game.
I got me a,
Single
We
pellet.
have a keeper.
they got real interesting.
Biggest
We're
pellet.
catching bait in the sky.
Biggest
and
wingspan
I
for the
throw
pellet.
my net over a pellet
That's what
shot.
we need.
Hit that, they go straight down to the bottom.
Oh, I didn't go that far.
I let him go to the bottom. I brought him up, revived him, and sent him on his way, but he went straight down 20 feet.
Yeah, but on a serious note,
I mean, I'm serious.
Got a whole freezer full of them.
but yeah, just be open-minded on stuff with fishing in general, because I see a lot of people that get, well, this worked before, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. It worked yesterday, but, you know, fish are pretty smart at times, even mackerel, they're one of the, I call them dumb fish at times, because they hit anything, watch them hit bare hooks, but just switch up things, keep your, don't use the same thing over and over, if it's not working for a day, you know, try something else.
What Steve said and what Jason said, don't be surprised, if you're sitting there chumming, don't be surprised if cobia comes up or the tarpon comes up. Because that happens more than you would imagine. We caught a nice cobia the other day. We just came right up with chumming.
It's the same bait for Kobe as it is for,
Yeah, cobia's even dumber than mackerel. I think.
No.
You don't think so? I do.
They fight hard, that guy did fight.
These same areas, that's the nice thing about mackerel. A lot of these areas you're fishing, there's bigger fish that are in the same area. Cobia. I hooked about 100-pound tarpon on that rod Friday, and I was trout and mackerel fishing. And I don't know how I did it. They can make fun of my knots all they want. I got 6 jumps on them with 25 pounds. That's when you break it.
It's because he gave you that horseshoe.
So these same areas, always have you some bigger rods ready. There are some kingfish in the bay. Not a whole lot, but I mean, I've caught and seen right next to me some kingfish caught. And in the same areas, you're going to be mackerel fishing.
Is it almost like kingfish where the larger mackerel are underneath the smaller mackerel? Or like in kingfish, the larger kingfish are below the smaller kingfish?
I think like any fish, you get 15-inch trout. There's like a lot of them. Occasionally, you got a few big ones. You get 19-inch trout. They're usually the same thing with the mackerel. You catch more like 40% little schooling mackerel. They're usually all around that big. Not to say you're not gonna catch a bigger one, but you know, I think the sizes kind of hang together, so to speak. Think of redfish. You go over, get on a school of redfish. They're all around 30 inches, but you got that one bruiser that's usually 36. That's kind of leading the pack. Snook are a little different. I think there's, you know, they're an ambush feeder. You get, you know, big mama laying up there, and you got all the little ones kind of surrounding her. So the snook are a little different. But I think with the schoolie fish, mackerel, and stuff like that, you'll get.
Especially later in the summer when they come in. You know, if y'all have ever been out there in the summertime when they're just blasted, it looks like a washing machine on top of water. Usually, whatever you catch, they're all going to be like cookie cutter sized fish. And that's one time, I was thinking about this a while ago, that's one time that mackerel fishing can be tough because they're eating little fry baits, and sometimes that's all they're going to eat is little fry baits. They're not going to, you can throw the nicest greenback out there or whatever you got, and for whatever reason, sometimes they will not get away from eating one of those little glass minnows or whatever that is that they're after. That's what they want. You'll see them come up and you'll see all those little baits just fly up out of the water. They're too little to put on a hook, or I try to catch some and use them, but that's one time that mackerel are not, I don't know if it's an instinctual thing or whatever. It's not, they're not stupid at that point. They're like, okay, that's not what I'm gonna eat, because that's the only one in the pack like that swimming by. I don't want him. So I was thinking about that earlier when you said that. It is a fish that certain times of year you gotta match the hatch on them.
How did you guys do? You guys ran just off the shoreline. Did you get a lot of mackerel?
I don't know, we caught 6 or 8.
How big?
Big. Yeah, they were big.
So don't give that spot away, Rick.
We won in the
I'm
bay.
selling the numbers.
Yeah.
I got good plays. So
I haven't seen many big mackerel in the bay. I will say this, I have personally done less mackerel fishing than I have the last few years, for the simple fact that I have seen some increasing numbers on snook and martin. And I did some more snook fishing than I have the last few years. So, with that being
The
said,
biggest mackerel I've caught this year has been in the upper end of the bay. In the hill area. Really. The biggest mackerel, yeah.
Where around like this?
Right there on the tip.
this is it, right inside the security.
Right there. Right there where that, you know where Slaughter's
Some of us have ID cards so we can fish those areas.
Right there, you know where Slaughter's Pond is? It's right there on the tip by Slaughter's Pond.
Say no.
Not a clue.
No.
Now, there's, again, off McDill, there's 4 to 6 foot flats, there's some good, what they call salt pepper bottom, grass and sand bottom. It's all good areas around, Bishops and all that, there's some good bottom out there.
Where I'm talking about, you know the island that kind of sits between Wheaton and McDill? I don't know, it used to have one lone palm tree on it.
Yep, yep.
You know what I'm talking about now? It's just like a sand palm that you see on low water. Just like if you draw a straight line to the skyway, that side of that. It's good hard bottom and they're there.
In that area he's talking about, you got a ship channel and kind of a ship channel, and there's deeper water all around, you got these hills that kind of come up to 5, 6 foot. It's all good mackerel, and there's good water flow. That's what you want, good water flow, and the water kind of comes up to like almost like a deep flat, and there's deeper water around it. So these are all good areas to target. I personally, I would probably run just off the beaches.
Yep.
Find you I mean, if you want to win the tournament, that's where the big mackerel would be, I think, bigger ones. There'll probably be some big ones caught in the bay, but, I think you have more amount along the wall.
If I was gonna fish a tournament, that is where I would go. I would go on the beaches, but
You got some,
I'm just saying the biggest ones I've caught have been up there. And I don't know why. I mean,
Does it have to be a Spanish?
biggest mackerel in the bay. Yes, can it be a king? King mac?
No. Spanish man.
leave it to these two guys.
Always looking for a name.
Any more questions?
Hey, I'm a first-year winner. The first one we had,
Oh, God.
by a half
Here we
an
go.
inch.
Here we go. How long is it gonna take?
Hey, go ahead and order breakfast now.
Yes.
Now, I asked him about the children's event, because that year he won. My son won the children's side.
Yep.
And it was bigger fish than his.
Did I give him the opportunity? I asked him if he wanted, I said, do you want to be, he was 15, I said, do you want to fish with the adults or do you want to fish in the kids division? He said, oh, the kids division. Thank you, Jesus.
Steve. You remember what's her name?
Fish with me.
Mary
Mary Beth. No, Mary
No.
Kate, no, Mary something.
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou.
Yeah, her grandson come in second in the kids division with a bigger mackerel than yours. Look it up. The kids took first and second overall. But yours was good.
Oh.
Any more questions?
Hey, when you're cooking your mac, how do you cook them in, are you just icing them down real quick? Do you bleed them out? What are you doing?
I don't bleed them out. I do put them on ice.
Right?
I kind of got like a little system. I put them in the live well because I don't like hearing them flopping around all in the cooler.
Right.
I put them in the live well for 3-4 minutes. They're dead.
Right.
Shove them straight in the ice. When I clean a mackerel, I'll just tell you how I clean them. Try to tell you how I clean them. I just fillet them. You know, just take. Well, I mean, you just cut them off, and now you got 2 halves with skin on them.
Right.
You cut that, you know, what would be the rib cage off.
Right.
And I usually cut about that much off the back because it's got that on the outside. It's got that little fin like that sits sideways. And then I'll take if it's a small mackerel, you can cut him in half at that point. And if it's a larger mackerel, you can cut him in thirds. So now you got three pieces of no, they're not steaks. 3 pieces of 6 pieces per fish, 3 pieces per side. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now you take those pieces from being long ways and turn them this way. Go right down the center, just on the inside of what would be, you know, the center line, and just go right down and peel him out, just like that.
Oh, I got you. So you're cutting out the bloodline right.
And then when you can
I got
take that piece of skin that's left and hold it up and look, and it's you got your skin, and the meat does like this, and you know, obviously much bigger.
I got you.
Or fish are almost as big, but you can see the triangle from that bloodline in it.
Then what do you do?
And do you smoke them? Do you
Hot
fry them?
Hot grease.
Hot grease and fried up?
Actually, the way I like them is blackened.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Blackened anything's
Now,
good, man.
Kingfish, I've done kingfish that way, but a bigger kingfish, I like to steak them. And I ate kingfish this year for the first time. I've never had it before this year. Oh my God.
I'll have to make it for you.
Dude, I got a neighbor that moved in next door to me in December. He's a professional chef. Rock on Dave. I'm telling you. This guy, I'll tell you what he did. He marinated it in lemon juice, salt, and ice for 16 hours. And then he took it out of the lemon juice, salt, and ice. I guess he was redoing the ice, I don't know. Took it out of that and soaked it in Italian dressing for 5 hours. Then he put them on the grill with Lowry's Cajun seasoning on top.
That's 21 hours of work.
Best fish I've ever had in my life. Ever.
I took a tip from Danny that he gave us a couple, 3 years ago. The sleeve that your newspaper comes in, use those sleeves to put the fish in to throw them in the cooler. Saves a whole lot of mess in the cooler.
What do you do with the kingfish?
I'm good with that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, great big old yard like trash bag. Hopefully you catch enough to fill it, but just throw a trash bag in the cooler on top of the ice. Put the fish in that. It saves a whole lot of cleaning.
Is there even a limit on that?
Actually, I throw the guts in the bag when I get home because I clean them at the house. So.
And I think they only have to be 12 inches.
12, yeah. 15 per person, 12.
Is there any meat on 12? I mean, there can't be much on 12.
I don't think I've ever caught 12 inches. Honestly, I mean, I don't know. Big a fish as I do.
I've
I
never,
don't know that I've ever seen a 12-inch mackerel.
I've never caught.
Sounds like bait then.
Good. Throw that thing back out there.
I don't know where they're at when you're out there.
There's one that's long as inches.
Yeah, I thought it was 14 for keeper.
Anything else?
Nobody wants to brag about the 12-inch mackerel they call it.
Yeah.
Jason, have you started tarpon fishing yet?
A little bit.
Are you doing the bridge or beam point? My
Either.
son and I are going out
Either. There's some fish.
New Moon Tide is Sunday, so
There's some fish at the bridge. I don't think they're thick on the beaches yet. I hooked some on the outer flats. Actually, today we had one for 5 seconds. Just fishing some outer flats south. I was actually mixing it up, fishing some mackerel and trout. It's just been so windy. I was going to do some tarpon this past week. Starting next week, I got a lot of tarpon trips.
yep,
So I suspect around the full moon we got coming up.
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
The 6th.
And the fish are getting finicky because we fished today, and it was consistently tough bite. We caught a bunch of trout today. I was fishing St. Pete on 6 school redfish, and it was just 5 boats, and we chased them. Incoming, outgoing, they won't bite. The fish are moving around a lot. Baits get a little sketchy. Around mid full moon. It's good sometimes, and other times it's left because the fish move around a lot. But I suspect it's going to start pushing these fish. I know they're down in Boca. There's some in the pass already, so yes.
2.5 weeks ago, they were catching tarpon off the Reddington Long Pier. I saw them catch 3
Yeah.
off there.
Yeah, there's some on
2.5
the
weeks
beaches.
ago.
They're just not real thick. When they come in thick, there's a lot of fish out there. I usually try not to. I mean, when I go out there, I want them to be like thousands of them on the beach.
Yeah.
You get like 100 and 100 tarpon, getting a bite is.
And I was there last Sunday, Sunday, and it was tough, man. I had 10 presentations to probably 50 fish, and nothing going on, man.
Yeah.
No bites, no takers. And they weren't spooked out. They were just cruising literally right on the buoy line, right there.
Yeah, tarpon. Even the fish that are on the outer flats, they're scattered, so it's kind of tough to say I'm going to go tarpon. I'm kind of like fishing for mackerel and trout, and I'll see a few roll. And I hate to turn this into tarpon seminar. What you can do is you want to try to draw when the fish are scattered on the beaches. Try to draw them into. You use some cut bait. It almost gets aggravating because you're just sitting back there cutting for like an hour. This is when it's good to hire a guide because he does all the work and you just kind of sit there. I mean, it looks like a
so-called supermoon?
I don't know, man.
Tide's gonna be high.
It's gonna be a tough fight. The bait's scattering around. We were all scrambling a little bit to get bait.
Tiger, the super moon in '05, how did we do?
It was sick. Absolutely sick. That water started running out, and I mean running out, we couldn't, as soon as you threw it and the bait hit the water, it was a snook on, snook on, snook on. And then that's when I caught, what was it, a 35, 36 inch trout?
32-inch trout.
Problem is, though, I wasn't paying attention, I about lipped it. I'm not lying.
Oh, the water was really dark. The snook and the trout that he caught, they were all just dark. You know, from being in that dark water. Was that off of Pawnee Point? There was one hole that we just anchored in. We didn't have enough sense. It just looked like a place to catch bass, so that's why we parked there. Because it was like the third time we'd had the boat out. And I mean, we must have caught in 45 minutes, we probably caught between the three of us 150 snook. One right after another. Now, there was nothing great big, but I don't know how many times we had three on at the same time, just
That was
running all around it.
before the kill, right?
Oh, way
A
before
week
the kill.
later, the red tide hit.
They knew they were gonna die, so they just gonna give you your money. But yeah, the tarpon bite's gonna start happening.
I was out at Valencia Lakes Tuesday. Have you heard anything about a petition going around to halt the snook until 2013?
Yes.
And I
It's
support
good.
it.
You support it?
I can tell you, anybody books a charter with me, I don't care if they're open or not, I'm not keeping snook.
Jason and I, last year, ran a 2-boat deal, and we both, anybody here from Chicago?
New York.
Oh, was it New York?
Yeah, Yankee stuff.
They were originally from Chicago, moved to New York.
Nothing against people from New York.
City folk, right?
They,
Tell me they're city folk.
they
They offered
offered,
$500
they offered
to
both
keep
of us $500 above and beyond the cost of the charter to keep us snug.
Oh, those are definitely city folk.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah,
They're like, you can't keep them? I'm like, no. Why? Because we lost like 70% of our fish. You just can't keep one? I'm like, no. Like, you mean tell me they give me $10
It's like
a
22
I
inch
said no.
snook, he's like, I don't wanna buy him from you.
That's the reason
There are
our
some
country
snook-
folk want to cut the city
There's
loose
some
and let it
snook
come
around
down.
right now, but we're not catching near the numbers we should be catching. This time of year, it'd be nothing to go out for us to go and catch 40 or 50 skunk. We can go out and work all day and maybe, on a good day, maybe catch 20, but there's not a lot of schools out there. I'll tell you, there's one school down south that there's been a boat on, or 4 boats on, every day since the beginning of March.
$500 a fish, you bet that people are selling them.
And what's happening, yes, it's catch and release, but we're pounding them to a point to where they're not gonna survive. They're not gonna survive those hooks. There's not that many fish. If everybody in here went snook fishing and y'all all caught 2 snook, how many snook did we just catch?
A lot.
20% of those snook are gonna die, just because they got a hook in them. So, I limit what I'm doing with snook, I'll target them, but
Sparing.
I'm not gonna pound them for 6 hours like I would before the freeze. I just won't do it. I'll go in, I'll fish them for an hour, maybe 2, and I'm gonna go off and do something else.
Yeah,
I'd rather just wait for however long it takes for the stocks to come back, because there's nothing better than getting good snow.
there is. I will tell you, in March and April, I've seen a lot of fish, but it's nothing to what we had. And I'm just being honest, not going one extreme to the other. I think it's way better than what it was last year.
Right.
I think last year we seen a lot of big fish, the breeders. This year we're starting to see, and Danny knows more about the sizing and how old and the size and all that. Seeing a lot of the 12 to 15 to 18 inch fish, that's post kill. So that's the fish that, I don't care if you got a bank with a 30 inch snook. 30 inch and 40 inch snook don't bite every day. They didn't get that big by being dumb. It's the 18 to 22 inch fish is the majority of the fish that you're gonna catch, and you'll get one big stand that's the big one.
If you've got an 18-inch snook, that fish was hatched after the freeze. Early this year, we were catching big snook. We would go out and catch snook. 26, 28 inches, not on top. They were great. But we weren't catching 14 inches, 16 inches. That
What's that guy at FWC, Taylor, last
Ron
night?
Taylor.
I went to the Snook Symposium several years ago, and he said that a big snook, anything, and when he classified big, it's like 35 inches plus, 34 inches plus, whatever. That size snook can go 60 days without eating. Now they won't, but they can. When they, when you get, if the weather was to get cool and the water, not cold, but cool, their metabolism slows down and they don't have to eat, so they can go that long. He said the juvenile snook can go 30 to 40 days without eating. So,
I think
just
they're
like
just
Jason
dumb.
says, if you see,
They're young and dumb and hungry, they just,
right, but I mean, if you see, like you said, 30-inch snook laying over there, which there are places that we used to have where that you could find that, and they don't eat, you could go, those snook, mostly are gonna eat at night, and they're gonna eat
or they're gonna,
big stuff.
they'll eat on around your new moon phase or a weather change, like a front roll.
Yeah, those snook are eating mullet, they're eating 1 pound mullet.
Understand too that, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, when you guys see a decision in August, remember that it's probably gonna be a coast-wide decision. So even though, say they, and I'm just trying to educate people in the local area, they're probably, and I think they're gonna open it for the coast. They're not gonna say, okay, Tampa, you're closed, okay, Sarasota, you're open. Because then you run into, if you think about it, you're gonna have issues. What if you're in Sarasota and you go to Bradenton, it's closed and open, you got that line. So they're probably gonna open it or close it statewide. So that doesn't mean because they open it that our snook fishing is good to go here. We can start throwing them in the pool. So just keep that in mind. I can tell you that I personally have about 235 days in the water last year, and probably gonna do at least that this year. It is not what it was, but it is better, and that's my honest opinion on it. I urge everybody, I've written some articles in the South Shore saying the snook are on the comeback, but as I write that, I still urge people, every fish is very important. It's important that not only do you know how to catch the fish, but you know how to release them and make sure that fish swims off and he's not damaged. And by no cost, you guys keep anything. There's some people, and Danny's seen it, they live in the water. Oh, it's just one fish. No, it's not just one fish. That fish reproduces, and it's a lot of fish that we kill. It's not, or there's plenty of other fish out there that are good eating. Everybody says, oh, we love snook. I've had snook. It's great, but there's fish that I like just as much. I think the reason why people think snook are so good is because they've been such a tight
fish.
There's been such a tight limit on them for the last, 8 years that it's, you can't keep one. So when somebody gets a keeper that, even before the kill, I told Danny this, I think the year before, I said, man, it's almost like the slot limit is fished out.